Welcome to BiWacky Weekly. For this episode, our lovely
Our
Liam.
dear friend, our
On
dearest
this
friend,
episode,
Liam.
Liam Florence is going to be explaining the plot and a lot of other garbage from the Hot Wheels movie.
So Liam, would you say you're a fan of the Hot Wheels
I would say
franchise?
I'm like a kind of casual fan. Just kidding. If you know what this film series is, and I'm gonna call it that because that's just funny. If you know what this is, you are automatically a very big fan of this. That's because you can't not like the only way you're gonna find out about this is if you're already a fan of it type thing, or if you grew up with it, and then by that point you're brainwashed into liking it. I would also like to say that the Hot Wheels or the Acceleracers, because that's that subtitle for the next, the Reddit community pops off. It's ridiculous.
So wait, what got you
Okay.
into Hot Wheels?
I was 3 years old, and my parents thought, or because my parents like these vehicles called cars, and they saw there was a Cars movie that wasn't the Cars movie because it came out before then,
Oh.
but it was still a Cars movie,
For
and
kids?
so they decided, for adults there are themes. It is without a doubt bad, but it is my child, and I do love it. So
I thought you were gonna say childhood, and I got thrown for a curve when you just said it was my child.
yes. So
Okay, wait, just to make this clear, you have a Hot Wheels sticker on your laptop.
well, that was ironic because my friend knows I like this movie series a lot, and so he went to the doctor's office and got me Hot Wheels stickers. True story. I have no emotional connection to this, Clifford. I am very disgusted that you would say such a thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can't believe you, Cliff.
I forgive you, Cliff. Okay, so where should we begin? I will begin. I don't know if I'll need the laptop,
Okay.
but I will begin by saying kind of. So I'll tell you. There's one movie.
But wait. We have to be careful about this because Cliff and I are gonna be watching it for part 2.
Oh, do you want me to spoil everything?
Or like,
I don't know.
okay, which do you think would be a better experience? You telling us the story, then us laughing at it, knowing what's gonna happen, and you being like, "Oh, hey, here it comes," right?
Because
Or would it
it's
be
all. Maybe I'll leave the last one for you guys. So Hot Wheels, the Hot Wheels movies. It was first of all, it was made to celebrate 35 years of Hot Wheels. So they had 35 cars. That's the joke. It's called Highway 35. I don't know what that has to do with anything. It doesn't. Preface. Okay. Secondly, there are 5 movies. The first one has, like, sometimes it has pretty good animation. I like the way the cars look. I like some of the backgrounds. Vert's house, the main character's name, I'll get into later, but the main character's house looks really bad. And there's a lot of backgrounds, but you could tell they didn't try at all. They're in a desert, so they didn't have to animate any trees. It's just kind of funny. So that was the first movie. The next 4 are very ambitious. But it's, like when you go to like elementary school and the kid's trying so hard at their like trumpet or whatever, you're like, man, it's fucking so bad. Like they're doing like crescendos and stuff. It's like they're trying.
Yeah.
But it's very bad.
Just A for effort.
That is the next 4 movies.
Okay.
They tried. It's just really bad. Okay. So the main character for all 5 movies is named Vert Wheeler.
Vert Wheeler?
Bert Wheeler, and his dad is named Jack Wheeler.
Oh my god.
Vert Joseph Wheeler. Is it Joseph Vert or Vert Joseph? That is information that I do not know.
All right.
I don't want that in my search history.
Oh god.
So he begins the movie, and he literally deadass gets his license in the first 2 minutes, And then his dad's like, you can't have the car this weekend. And the kid's like, why? He's like, because I'm in the military and I'm leaving. And then the kid's like, that's stupid. And then he's like, I'm literally in the military. What do you want me to do? He's like, that's dumb. And then his dad's like, you should learn to like think about other people. And Bert's like, sure. Like, what the fuck are you doing? So anyway, he's like really mopey. He also has a skateboard.
Ooh.
He rides a skateboard. That's very integral to the plot.
Okay.
This
sounds
takes place
very
in
cool.
California. He's a surfer, skateboard man, driver boy. So my man's Vert just like drives home and finds a car, very mysterious. Oh, I forgot how the movie starts. Because it starts ridiculously. You don't know anything, and you're seeing this car like drive up a loop, which you'll see later in the movie, and then it just doesn't make it. It falls and crashes. But you see it from the perspective of the driver, and he just dies. And then I don't know if it's like I'm pretty sure it was like remote. It was like remote operated, so no one actually died. But the fact that the movie starts with the car just like not making it, that's a fucking ridiculous start. Like, well, okay,
sure.
Calm down. So then you see the scientist. He's like, gosh darn it, I can't finish the race. And then his robot assistant, who's really sassy, and he's pretty funny in the later movies. It's kind of fun. But he's like, maybe you need a new type of car. Or maybe you need a new type of driver. And then he's like, a new type of driver. And it, like, it just cuts straight to this like 15-year-old kid doing skateboard tricks. Like he doesn't even know how to drive, man. And then apparently he gets a perfect score on his driver's test too, which is like when I was a kid I was like, whoa, he must be so good. It's like it's not even that hard.
It's not.
Yeah.
Like, do you know how fast you need to go? Good job. Well,
Good job.
So anyway, he finds this mysterious car, and his first instinct, like parked in his driveway, and he's like, "Whoa, check it out!" Okay.
That's so early.
So,
2000s.
and also I don't even. This is like the car that they decided to like spearhead the entire thing. It's called the Diora 2, and I literally don't know how to describe it. It looks like a truck bubble. Everyone loves it. I'm like, as far as all the cars in the movie go, it's like okay, but it's just a truck bubble, and I have no like. Oh, one sec, look at this.
Yeah, pull up a pic.
It's just a truck bubble. I can't be the only one who sees that. So it's like truck in. You know how like El Camino's, it's like truck in the back, car in the front.
Yeah.
It's like truck bubble. So anyway. He drives in the car. It's the professor guy from earlier, and he's like, come. He's like, okay, come to this fucking, just follow. He's like, just trust me on this. Follow the GPS and just go wherever it says. And he does. He just finds this random car, and the GPS is like, go to this marked, undetermined location. And this guy's like, I got nothing better to do. No one's gonna be at your
Wait,
house.
the
Did you
kid?
even lock it? Yeah.
Okay.
So he sent out like custom made cars and sent them out to 35 different people. Like the best drivers in the world. So you got people who've been like racing their entire lives, people who have like lived like in like these crazy countries, so they know how to do this. This man is from California and he's 16 and he just got his license this day, like hours ago. And the guy's like, But there's like so much lore that I'll get into later,
All right.
which is ridiculous and explains that, which is actually kind of cool that they would, because I didn't even notice it until I watched it like semi recently, and I was like, why the fuck did they give this, like, bruh. But anyway. So he drives there, and he's like one of the original 6 or 12 cars, 10 cars, because there's 5 teams. There are teams. You got, and these are the most early 2000s things. So you got the main character, Vert Wheeler's team, and this is called the World Race, so it's like trying to be very inclusive. So you have white male protagonist driving. He's part of the Wave Rippers, because he's from California. It includes him, his friend, a Hawaiian girl named Lonnie Lonnie. I don't know the last name. And then all the other names are just because they had to merchandise. So none of these characters actually have lines. Or wait, his friend, his African American friend, who was the only one in the first movie. His name is Alec Wood, which compared to every other name in this series is way too normal. I'll get into the other names later, and they are hilarious. And then there's also Marky.
Marky?
I wish it was. No, it's Marky, and he drives a Corvette. I'll get into him later because he's friends with the other guy. But anyway, Vert's the leader of that team. There's a guy named Fluke. That's his only name. There's no last name. And then there's
Fluke.
I don't because there's 4 characters that have lines on this team, and then 3 who you don't notice. And one of them is named Fluke. The other one's named Finn Serpa, and he's from Ireland, and he paraglides between mountains.
And he's a driver?
I get this kid's literally got his license. I don't think there's any bar to clear. It's just do you want to die? I forgot the last name, but in his picture, he's giving a peace sign, and he has glasses, and he drives a car named Power Pipes. So that's pretty bad at. No, I was kidding.
I love how the scientists sent out those cars right with the GPS in it, and he managed to get the dumbest people out of the best drivers.
He got a guy named Fluke, bro. Why do you have to pick Fluke? So Vert meets Lonnie, who's on that team. He also meets the team leaders of the other 4 teams. The second team is Street Breed, whose main boy is named Kurt Wilde.
Wow. He
is the villain of this movie. And his name is Kurt Wilde. So the 2 main characters are named Vert and Kurt. That's already kind of terrible. That's the same thing. But Kurt Wilde, I'm going to save the best line in the entire movie for later. But trust me, it's really good. And then another normal ass name, there's Dan Dresden. He gets 3 lines. He's he's kind of cool. There's deleted scenes which make him more interesting. I can't believe I just said that about the Hot Wheels movie. But there is.
All right.
So those are the only 2 characters on the entire team that even get lines, and the second person got all his lines cut. So they really cared about Kurt Wilde's team. And then he meets Banji Castile, who's hilarious, and he's one of the best parts of the movie. He's from Puerto Rico, and he says it every few minutes. It's diversity. His car is named Ballistic too, which is I don't know why I had to mention. I know all the cars. I can literally tell you all the cars right now. I won't. I might do it at the end if we have time.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to speed run the rest of this. There's 2 other people that matter on his team that have lines. Neither of them matter, but there's a cut subplot with one of them. Or a cut romantic subplot.
Ooh.
There's only 3 women in this entire movie. And one of them had a cut romantic arc. Her name was Esmeralda. And so there's a scene, a little bit, whatever, I'll get into it. And then there's this guy named Skeet. He's from Texas. He's from Texas, and he wears a cowboy hat. And he's you're on the Spanish team, are you kidding me? My man, Banji and Esmeralda. If this was made nowadays, I don't think they'd be on the same team. So that's them. Then there's the Dune Rats. Oh, I forgot to mention, so there's Street Breed, that's what Kurt Wilde's on, and they're all kind of corrupt because they're from the street, but not they're just terrible people.
They're just dicks.
Yeah, they're just actual dicks. And then Road Beasts. Road Beasts are the Puerto Rican / South American country people. And then there's one Greek person, but of course they give him the car named Greased Lightning. Come the fuck on, bro. That's only in the video game, though.
Greased Lightning.
That car is bad. Anyway, objectively not a good car. Dune Rats. They're the desert people. Just any desert, Sub-Saharan or African desert, Middle Eastern desert. As long as there's a desert, there's people from so it's really non-descriptive. It's just because you'd think they're trying to unify people with similar cultures. It's just any place with a desert you can come if you want. And the leader of that is Brian Kadeem, and he's actually the best character, the most sympathetic, and the only one who's actually kind of a good person. And he's really cool, I think. There's two other named characters that actually one of the characters one of the people on that team's name is Mojave, no last name, as in Mojave Desert, as in he's on the Dune Rats, also called Desert Rats. His name is just the Desert. Well, who thought that was a good idea? Okay, last. It's not. Yeah. There's two other characters, and they're in literally one scene and never shown again. They probably died. They didn't die, I don't think. And then the actual best character, Taro Catano, leader of the Scorchers. Every line he says is so fucking good, and it makes me laugh, even if it's terrible. It's like, when you just love someone, like you love like your uncle so much, and he just makes terrible jokes, but you're like, you know what? I'm gonna laugh anyway, because that shit's funny. Yeah. So that's Taro Catano for me. He doesn't make bad jokes, but he is the bad joke. And then there's one other one person who has lines. He doesn't even have lines. He just is like shown a lot. His name is Krakatoa.
Krakatoa.
He's also from Hawaii, I think. Come on.
Oh my god.
We're trying to be like, that's kind of.
It's like low-key racist.
Yeah. Banji, Brian Kadeem. All the names are racist. Like, even like Vert Wheeler. That's kind of like, all right, California, sure. Okay, so now we can actually get to the plot. So, there's no plot. So you have your boy Vert, and he races all the other leaders, and just like fucking randos. I don't even know why they're there. They all lost. So he races them. So they have their first race. So they're in the desert, and they're like, "What?" They have like this banter before where they're all like, "Why are we doing this?" And the guy's like, "He's a genius," and then the villain's like, "He's a genius, but he could still be insane." And then it's like, this is crazy. And then they're racing, and then Vert starts to lose, so he hits the nitrox. Ooh. So NO2, that's the formula for it. And it makes this car do a wheelie like this. Can you see the back of that? That can't happen. And he reaches 300 fucking miles per hour. And then everyone else just hits that button. And so everyone reaches 300 miles per hour. And they all do wheelies, even if their car can't actually do it. And then a portal shows up. So they're in the desert and they're driving straight. And then a portal shows up. That's the background that I showed you earlier. And then they all go through the portal. And they end up on this funky ass planet. I do really like the backgrounds, even though they're probably bad. I have so much nostalgia that I think it's really cool. Like, so they get there. Whenever they go into the rooms in this movie, there's like an establishing shot that goes through like the first few seconds of the track, and it like tracks. It's cool. But then so they're in there and they're like, so it's like a track. Who built the track? You'll find out later. Ooh. It's people called the Accelerons.
Whoa.
That's dumb. That's a dumb name. And I just want to reiterate, I love these movies, but everything about them is stupid. And that's why I love it. Anyway, so first of all, they see Jupiter in the sky, or a moon. I can't remember. It's one of them. And so one of the characters, Banji, is like, "Look at those rocks over there." And they're just fucking rocks, bro. And then Vert's like, "Look at the giant fucking planet." It's like 50 yards. And so anyway, so they fight, or they're racing. And then your boy Kurt Wilde is like, "It might be a world." And then he like shifts. He's like, "But it's my world. Or racing is still my world." And it's like, oh my God, every line in this movie is going to be like this, isn't it?
Oh my God.
I forgot to mention one of my favorite lines, if not the best line. It comes from Vert. So Vert is like testing out his car against Taro Catano, and he's trying to make friends. And I can actually kind of relate to this because you just meet all these people and you hear all these crazy stuff about him. And Vert's like, "Hey, I heard you skied down Mount Everest once." Think about that. He skied down Mount Everest. And so Vert's like, "Hey, that's pretty cool. I heard you did this." And he's like, oh, and then he says, no, it's not yet. So he's like, "Oh, that's pretty cool that you've skied down Mount Everest." And So Vert is in front, and Tara's behind him, and Tara's like, twice, I'm gonna pass you. Way to assert your dominance. That's his first line, is just like, twice, I'm gonna pass you. No pause. It's just immediate, and he just fucking defies the laws of like physics and just like, whoops, cars can't strafe. Anyway, so I just think that's so funny. Like, imagine having the confidence to just, someone's like, oh, that thing you did, it's super cool. And it's like, yeah, I did it twice, and you're going to lose. And then later,
oh my God.
So it's revealed that whoever wins the race, their team gets $5 million each. Wow. And so Vert's like, what would you do with that money? And he's like, or what would you do if you had that money? And he's like, I do, and I've done it. Just have a conversation, bro. He's just trying to be friends. And you're like, shut the fuck up, I'm cool. We all know you're cool, Taro. He's also Japanese, and you could not tell. One sec. No, I'm gonna save that for later. Right. But he's Japanese because his name's Taro Katano. And he drives like one of the only actual cars. He drives just like this normal car.
Katana, that's literally katana, but with different vowels.
He's named I think it's actually, he was named after the karate instructor of the writer. Fun fact. Wow.
That's some like meta shit.
The director or whatever, the writer, did an AMA where he talked all about all this stuff. So now I have all the knowledge. So anyway, so they're racing in this place. So Kurt Wild's winning, and then suddenly he's not, I guess. And then Banshee's winning, and there's a big loop. Big loop. And he's like, now that's what I call a loop. This is the same one that the car died on earlier. So we're like, oh God, what's going to happen? So he tries to go, he's like, oh, I'm going to make it. And then, oops. And he's like, nope.
Oh, no.
And then, so it's like playing off her jokes. And you're like, oh, okay. And then, like, it cuts back. And it cuts back to him again. He's like, he just, like, hits every button. And then, like, right before he hits the bottom, a parachute comes out. And it's like, that's one way to start this, I guess. Like, it literally just cuts back. There's, like, an alarm going off in his car. It's like you're going to crash. Bro, just calm down. So,
oh my God.
So then Vert does fucking everyone's like, stop there, like, how, because so the loop, right after the loop there's a jump, and so what you're supposed to do is build up speed on the loop and then go through the jump, and the only way to make it through the jump is to build up speed on the loop. So you have to, and so everyone's like, how are we gonna make it through the loop? Not like, we don't have to mention the fact that they all can go 300 miles per hour with their nitrox. I guess they just forgot. But Vert does this really cool thing. That's not possible. He spends like 5 minutes, and he uses it as a half pipe, so he goes like this and slowly makes up momentum. But the way he turns, he uses the e-brake every time. He has four-wheel, so it's just like crazy. And then he goes really far the last time. I don't know if this is the actual place where he does it, but he hits the clutch, the gas, and the brake on and then pulls the e-brake. That's like what I'm going to do when I drive. It's just like hit literally everything. And so he makes it whatever because he's the protagonist. And everyone's like, and then everyone just copies him. So it's kind of like a metaphor. In real life, one person makes it, everyone. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to try to skip, because I don't want to give away every good part.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go into the characters too later. So that's like a brief overview of the first little section. Kurt Wild ends up winning that race, and you find out that he throws a bomb out of his window at one point and tries to blow everyone else up. Oh my God. That's true. He literally tries to blow everyone up, and he almost gets like one person killed, the Hawaiian lady, who becomes a major character later. So that's cool. When Kurt blows up the thing, it creates this giant lava wave because he blew up a wall that goes to the that blocks the lava. Yeah. So the Scorcher's cars that Taro Katano drives are able to just, they have like these shields on the tires that like and then they have a plow on the front.
Of course.
And so he just drives through the lava. And then the lava creates a wave, and he surfs on the wave.
Oh my god.
And then one of his teammates, Lonnie, the Hawaiian girl, is like, if he can do it, I can. And then does not the same thing. Because what Vert did is all the wave rippers cars have jets on the bottom so they can like fly for brief periods of time. And that's what he did. And then she just drives into the lava and gets stuck.
Oh my.
So it melts her car. She like jumps out and she's like on this rock. And she's like, help. And then canonically, Taro Katano wants that pussy. So he's like second and he just stops and turns around. And then Bert's like, he's like, I'm not going to win anyway. And I want to be a good person. He's kind of, I feel like that's I don't remember exactly why he turned around, but I feel like it's just like, I don't want to be the person who abandoned my teammate, I guess. And let someone else save her. So they go back and they save her, barely, I guess. And then Kurt Wilde wins because he fucking blew it up. Obviously, he was gonna win. He's also the bad guy. His costume, he just changed his car to black.
Wow.
That's all he does. It's literally, it's not even like it's a normal car. It's the most recognizable car.
Oh my god.
He just gets rid of the purple paint and then just makes it black. No one figured it out.
Oh my god.
They're like, who is this guy? Bitch, what the fuck? So Kurt wins. They get all their other drivers. Like, they recruit the rest of, like, the members. Kurt's brother actually stowed away in... His name is Marky, and he stowed away in Kurt's trunk.
Oh.
And so he's just there. And I guess Tesla was like, yo, you can drive, I guess. I have this random car. I don't think he's even old enough to drive. He just ruins everything. That's his character trait. It's really funny. Like, he literally ruins literally everything. Every scene he ends, he just ruins. I feel so bad. I think he saves the day once, but that's because he almost died.
Oh my god.
So anyway, he's there. You meet Vert's friend from earlier, who's presumably the same age. They were skating together, skateboarding.
Yeah.
He's just there. All right. Sure, I guess he knows how to drive. Maybe because I was like, maybe they recruit, like, the drivers because they recruit their friends. How the fuck does Vert know Fluke? We're not going to tell. How does he know Finn Serpa from Ireland? Vert lives in California. There's no way that's possible. Is there this, like, Craig? He put a Craigslist ad. He's like, I just have fucking suicidal drivers for this crackhead's fucking space races.
Oh my god.
Sure. And then Fluke was like, yeah, okay. So then they did another race. And I think because Kurt Wilde won. Oh, and then Banshee went in. He was, like, training his friends. He went in. He was trained. And then they were betting, and whoever won has to buy the other people guava juice.
What's guava juice?
No idea. And apparently the Texans, so the people who were racing were Banshee Castile from Puerto Rico, Esmeralda, I don't know because she's not a main character, and Skeet from Texas.
Skeet.
And Skeet's going to lose. And then Esmeralda's just like, Skeet, I like my guava juice imported. And it just... So anyway, they get back, and then Banshee's like, blah, blah, blah. And then Tesla's like, you can't do that. And then he's like, why? And then Tesla's like, that's the rules. And he's like, rules are meant to be broken. That's not true. And then Tesla's like, not my rules. And he pushes up his glasses. Come on. What a party pooper.
Yeah.
Well.
So then they race again. I do not know the order. I believe this is, like, the cool one, where there's a bunch of cool stuff, and then Kurt and Banshee have this really fun rivalry where they just, like, scream at each other. And there's this one part where they're going through loops at the same time, so they're going like this, and it's like a horizontal corkscrew, and they're going like this. And so it's kind of between them, and then there's this one part where Banshee just says something in Spanish, and then, like, this, like, just, like, really fast, and then Kurt Wilde's just, like, he's, like, looking up. He's like, easy for you to say. And that line's so funny.
This movie seems like such a meme. Oh my god. I already love it and I haven't seen it yet.
And then Marky's just like, so they're on teams. They're trying to win. And Marky drives in between the main character and his best friend's car. It just fucking crashes all of them. It's just like, the whole point is to win, and you literally didn't have to do that. So then so Kurt's winning, and the Banji's like, well, we're going to take this shortcut. And they're cool, sure, I guess. It's literally like the track goes this way, and then this goes this way. This is also like a cliffside thing. The first thing, I love this, so Benji gets there first, and the person who made this track is a fucking asshole. So you come out of the portal at 300 miles per hour, and you have to immediately turn. Like, you literally die. It's endless. It's just an endless fall. And so the first thing, Benji just like radios everyone. He's like, you better turn right unless you got wings. And so, like, that's just a stupid line. I just wanted to clarify that. That's just bad. But, and then Marky crashes Taro's car and he almost falls off and he gets very mad. I just like that because he's like hits his dashboard really hard and it's very satisfying. Anyway, so he's in last and Kadim's in last. That's important for later.
All right.
So the road beasts go off and then on the shortcut, and then the wave rippers go off on the shortcut. And also keep in mind, no one's ever raced these before because Tesla's a bitch and didn't do the half pipe thing because he doesn't know how to surf.
He doesn't know how to surf.
He doesn't know how to surf. So anyway, they do the shortcut. Kurt Wilde, he's already winning, and he takes time out of his fucking day to go up to a bridge on the shortcut, and then with his fucking stupid binoculars, just like zoom in and be like, "Whoa, is that a bridge?" And then he goes into his car and launches an energy projectile. And you know what he says?
What?
Shortcut. Cut short.
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, and so the wave rippers are going after them. Except for Bert's friend, who's like this rule guy, and so he's like, I'm gonna follow the rules. So anyway, there's this huge crash, which is like in slow motion. It's supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to be majestic, but Taro and Kadim are like the only people who like don't crash and die. They don't die, not yet. So
that's dark.
That's next episode with Acceleracers. If we even get through World Race in this episode. So then Kadim, it's just funny because so they're like winning and they're like, I'm gonna pass you, and then because Taro's catchphrase is I'm gonna pass you, he says it in every scene. And so then Bert's stupid ass friend who just learned how to drive yesterday, like, goes in between and is like, hey guys, can I lead for once? And he's smashed and they're both like, just like this fucking guy. They have that look. And that's exactly what they said. It's so good. And they just crash him. He's like, dang it. And then so then they somehow survived the bridge collapse, I think. Yeah, they did. And so then there's the wheel. They have to jump through a wheel, so they devise a computer system to tell them exactly when to go, because the wheel's spinning and it has like 3 prongs. And so they all do it. And first of all, so the engineer girl explains it, and then Vert is like, can you put that in English? And then Vince's like, or at least Spanish. Anyway, so everyone makes it through, except for fucking guess who? It's Marky, because he sucks at everything. And he jumps through and he gets hit. He gets a concussion and he dies. Just kidding.
Oh
just kidding. Not yet.
Oh my god.
So he does blow up the steering wheel, and when he gets back, he's like, did someone get the license plate number of that truck? Which is just a great line. And so then they're like, oh no, how are we going to make it through? It's moving at an unpredictable speed. And then they're like, let's just do it. And obviously they make it through. That's it. That's the end of that subplot. They get back on the track. They all lose because they all suck. And then I think, so because...
Where's Vert? I feel like we haven't...
Vert was the team. So Banji went on the shortcut and then Vert followed him because he didn't want to lose.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, why are we following him? They're going to lose. And Vert's like, we're going to win. And so that's why Marky was there, because Marky's on Vert's team.
Got you.
And he killed he almost died.
Got you.
Marky's the MVP. Just kidding. He sucks. So your boy Vert and Banji all got last. Taro and Kadim tied for first, which shouldn't be possible. which is a running theme. Because Taro, you'll see. So the next race is in the desert. Or Kadeem like mopes at like a cliffside and is like, my people in Africa, and then a village elder like appears to him and is like, I don't know, and he's like, what? And he's like, how should I know? I'm blind.
What?
And then it cuts to the next race, which is cool. It's in the desert, which is like. One of the teams is called Desert Rats, and they're made to drive in the desert. It's just a desert. They won the RNG there, so they automatically win. They just drive off without everyone else, and everyone else just has to guess or like somehow get themselves out. And then whenever all the Donuts people are like driving in the sand, they're like, they say these awful one-liners, which I'm not going to spoil because I don't remember any of them, but they're awful.
Okay.
So anyway, they get to this giant T-Rex made out of stone, which is really cool, and I actually really like it, and I like the music in this place. So they have to, like, dodge stones, and they go inside, and they have to, like, dodge everything. But these two Doonrats people in trucks, this is the only time they appear. Their names are Chuvo and Rekes. And they're, like, it pretty much just cuts them in the mouth, because you drive all the way up, and then come out the mouth, and it's like, it's still tamed, but it's still got some teeth. Awful one-liner. They drive out, and then they're like, we made it. And then they're both just out. And I don't think they come back for the rest of the movie. They just, like, lose, and then they get tired, and then they don't do anything again. I think you can see one of them later. Whatever. So then Kadeem does it. He uses his super boost thing and gets out. And then Kurt Wilde, like, this is like 15 minutes later. Like, everyone figured out how to get there. They go through the dyno, and Kurt literally kills all of them, or like takes them out because it's like pitch black, and he just changes to black so they can't see him, and just rams all of them into the side. No one makes it out. And then Kurt goes out the
Wait,
same
so
way.
Kurt actually killed them?
I don't think he killed them.
Oh,
He
okay.
incapacitated them, and is very violent. Like, you see one of them, he just spins and then...
Oh my god!
And then, so he makes it, Kadeem is like driving up pyramids, and he thinks he finds the Wheel of Power, which is what Tesla's after. It's called the Wheel of Power.
The Wheel of Power.
Yes. So Kadeem grabs it, and then Kurt Wilde's like, no, you can't do that, and they have a chase scene. Kurt tries to blow him up, and then when he can't, he presses foot on the brakes, it hits like the booster thing, so he's going nowhere, and he's building up like potential energy, and he releases it, and he just fucking launches like 100,000 feet. He just magically catches up with him. Then they have like an actual fight like outside their cars, and then Kadeem's like holding onto the ledge, and then Kurt's like, you shouldn't have done that, and Kadeem like backflips off, kicks Kurt's helmet off, and then fucking throws that bitch in a ditch and leaves. So that's cool.
That is cool.
And then they try to find the Wheel of Power or whatever. It's like racing through. And then they're like, should we go after it? Like, because it's like going backwards in the race. And then Vert's like, well, Taro's not doing it. And he's pretty cool, so we're not going to do that. So they just don't. And then anyway, it's fake. It's fake wheel. Why'd they put that? That's just a fucking bitch-ass move. So then Kadeem gets really depressed because he didn't win the Wheel of Power. And he's like, I wanted the $5 million to feed my family. And then Vert's like, oh, I was just going to spend it on drugs. I guess he doesn't say that. That's probably what happened based on the next movie.
Oh, no.
So then Vert, this is like his character arc, and it's really cool. I'll go get more into like characters and stuff next episode.
All right.
Because it doesn't become like a huge thing. Also, the best line in the movie, because they all now know Kurt Wilde is the spy. So they say, Vert walks up, and this is his icebreaker to Kadeem. He says, that was pretty wild, even for Kurt. Completely serious. That shit's so
I
funny.
can't.
That is my favorite line in any piece of media. It's so good.
That is
Anyway,
terrible.
So they have like the final race, and then Kurt's just out of the competition. And then so they're like the green, red, yellow, and then Kurt just comes in with these robots. And then Angie's like, "What the fuck?" And then they all like go in their own like order. And then after they all go, the light turns green. This is just a funny little thing. So anyway, Kurt steals somewhat the booster from one of his own guys' thing, his own teammates' thing. And so he's like pressing the boost thing, and he doesn't make enough speed, and he falls into the ocean. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Kurt die?
No, that was the other guy. He stole the nitrox to give it to the two droids.
Got you.
So he has two droids because he works for an evil organization that works with the U.S. government that Tesla's trying to go against. That's all I'm going to say because it doesn't matter because they retcon it later. So anyway, Kurt is like, his character arc is now kind of switching where he was the bad guy, but now he's like, I don't really want to kill people. And the robot's like, we have to kill people or you win. And he's like, well, I'm not going to win. So anyway, they set up like spikes on the track to pop the tires. They destroy it because it's the last place is an ice room. They destroy the walls, so they all come crashing down. And they set mines. And so also everyone was working as a team. And then Marky's like, fuck that. And then like hits the booster to go over all the ice. And then he just is super ahead. So then he gets hit by the mines. And he dodges a few, which is pretty impressive. But then he just gets blown up. And at the last second, he hits like a grappling hook. And then his car grapples to the top, and he's just, and it actually shows him hitting his head. He gets knocked out for like 20 minutes.
Oh my god!
It's ridiculously like I was like, okay, sure, he's actually dead. So anyway, Kirk is really mad because he's like he hears that Marky's winning and that they're gonna go over the mines. So he like gets out of the car. He starts to fight the robots. He gets one of them. And then the other one gets out and he has spider legs and he's about to kill him. It's just like 20 minutes later because there's like stuff that doesn't matter going on. And then Marky hits the power thing, the jets, flies up next to the robot and then opens his door and kills him. And so they're driving together and they're like, oh, they're friends now because Marky just saved them. And then they just start trash talking each other. And then Kurt's like emotionally manipulates him to the point where like he tries to win so hard, just crashes in the ice. And it's like, and then it's like, you'll never be as good as me. It's like, bro, you're double his age and have been racing for your entire life. This man's like 12. You're just taunting him, bruh. And then, so there's one robot left, and then Kurt is like, I don't want to fight you, but the robot will. And then his like second in command's like, you're done, blah, blah, blah. He's like, talk is cheap. Okay. Good line. And then that guy just immediately gets killed. Or not killed, but like incapacitated. Okay. Anyway, so then they somehow kill the robot. I don't know how. And then Vert does this thing where he takes a shortcut. And then Kurt's like, I can do that too. And then he crashes and he's out of the race. So then Vert is literally the only person left who hasn't been like incapacitated. So he just wins by default. He wins the last thing. He wins the Wheel of Power. Spoiler alert, this is the only thing he wins in the entire series. The main protagonist wins one race out of all 5 movies.
Oh my god.
He won it by default because robots killed everyone else. Not actually killed yet.
Yet.
So then Vert brings it back to Tesla, and then Tesla's like, I'm going to harness it to find infinite energy. And then it immediately blows up. And so he's like, okay, Vert, just take it back. And they're like, okay. Then they get surrounded by so there's like 1 million droids now. And then they're like, well, we can't take them all on. And it's like, okay. Well, he's like, whatever. They'll just go out. And then, so they like beat up. There are only like 5 of them actually make it to the portal, whatever. So they get to the portal instantly takes them to the last place. And then just wacky hijinks. Vert almost dies like 12 times because he's the protagonist. And then Vert's like, okay. Kurt becomes a good guy, and he like pretty much gives himself like 15 concussions at once by launching himself from a building, knocking himself into the leader droid girl who's like kind of been behind the scenes the entire time. She's trying to like use a laser to kill Vert. He's like, let's see how you drive in half a car, and then misses like 15 times. It's like, bro. And then Kurt just comes from a building. Okay. And then that's pretty much it. Vert is like, oh no, I'm not gonna make it. It's a movie, so he makes it. And then he puts the wheel back, and then happily ever after, all the robots are dead, quotation marks. So then they're like, one of the characters is like, hey, let's have a race where no stupid shit happens and then you won't win because you're bad. And then Bert's like, yeah.
Yeah.
He accepts. He only won by cheese. He cheesed out that win. Vert gives his money to Kadeem. He's like, your people need it more, which is a really condescending way of saying it. But it is a good intention. I will give you that. Yeah. His character arc is really actually present. It's neat. And then they go back to the main headquarters, and Vert's dad is there from the military. And then he's like, show me your new car, Vert. And then he's like, yeah. And then the dad's like, just kidding. This is the last time you're driving it because you're grounded. And the kid's like, what? He's like, I'm the best driver in the world. And your dad's like, I don't care. You left house without asking me. And so then they're driving. He's like, just show me how it drives first, and then I'll decide or whatever. And then Vert's like, okay. So he's driving. And then the dad's just like, what's this button do? And that's how the movie ends. They just go into this random portal.
All right.
And so, yes, that's it.
Okay, cool.
That's it.
Wow.
That's a wonderful thing.
Okay,
That's
I
awesome.
can't wait to watch it.
Okay, I really want to get into the next movies because that's when the plot actually gets good. The movies get bad, the stories get good.
I'll take your word for it.
So I'm just gonna end it out by
Okay,
saying.
no, all right, bye!